Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I cook with my wok every day, sometimes a couple times a day. I never had problem of food sticking to the bottom of my wok. My wok always have great non-stick property, but that has not always been the case. For a number of years, I have struggled with the seasoning of my wok. I will season the wok when I first purchase it, and then gradually the seasoning will decline, and then I have problem of food sticking to the bottom of the wok. So with some research as well as experimentation, I now have developed a method that allow me to season the wok every time before I start to cook. This way, I will guarantee my wok is well seasoned. I call this method the spot seasoning method. The reason I call it spot seasoning because I can season the wok right on the spot when I'm ready to use the wok. This method is so simple that it only takes about 2 or 3 minutes to season the wok. You start out with the heat at the highest setting for the burner. You heat up the wok for about 30 to 40 seconds. And then you add about 2 tablespoons of canola oil, just enough to cover the bottom of the wok. You let the oil to heat up until it starts to smoke. Usually it takes about 1 and 1.5 minutes. Once you detect the slightest hint of smoke that coming from the wok, you should turn down the heat to low immediately. You need the oil to smoke between 10 to 20 seconds, depending on how long you want to season the wok. This is the time actually the wok is being seasoned. Then you start to cook. You can add whatever you're ready to stir fry right into the wok. This method actually works very well with woks with all different types of natural surfaces, from carbon steel to cast iron, light cast iron, and stainless steel. First of all, I need to make a clarification. I did not invent this method. In fact, this method is an age-old approach in how to season a wok. In fact, a number of people who have seen my video on this spot seasoning method that I posted earlier will say to me, yeah, I have been using this method all along. However, this method is not well known, and for simplicity, I gave it the name spot seasoning so people can recognize it and therefore use it. This method is not the type of method that has been described on the internet. In fact, I have never seen this method described on YouTube. I probably have not done an enough search, but nevertheless, I stumbled across this method accidentally, really by trials and errors. Before I explain the differences between the traditional seasoning method versus my spot seasoning method, I'm going to discuss a little bit about the basic principle of how seasoning actually works. It is based on the ideas that any natural surfaces that could be seasoned are porous on this surface. One example to demonstrate the porous nature of these surfaces is that if you take a cast iron wok and you clean it really well and you expose it to air with some water, you will find that within literally hours, the surface of wok will become rusted. The same is also true for carbon steel woks. These pores allow air, which contain oxygen, and water enter into the wok, and they come in contact with the iron and causing the iron to form iron oxide, which is rust. However, this pore also allow oil to penetrate and provide a protection actually against water and air. In addition to this protection in a normal situation, when the oil is heated up, it will actually form a polymer, almost a plastic-like surface that will attach to the surface of wok and therefore prevent the food come into contact with the bare metal of the wok. This protective layer is what provides the non-stick surface of the wok, and also it prevents food from burning. This polymer forms when the oil heat up to a temperature that close to its smoking point. And at this temperature, the oil molecule cross-link with each other and to form this polymeric structure. So therefore, in all seasoning methods, it requires the oil to heat up to the temperature when it starts to smoke. The longer you let the oil to smoke, the more this polymer is going to form, so thicker this protective layer will become. Therefore, many those methods that comes with a new wok, will ask you to heat up the wok, usually for maybe 4 to 5 minutes, and let the oil to smoke. And a lot of time, they will also ask you to repeat the process multiple times. And in some cases with cast iron cookware, the recommendation is actually you put the cookware in the oven and bake it for up to 30 or 40 minutes. And now, as long as you use the wok only for stir fry, this seasoning will continue to build, and during the process, some of the oil will actually burn off and form carbon material and create this brown coloration that frequently known as the patina. This seasoning layer in many ways behave very much just like what you will find on non-stick cookware, with the only exception is that it is not permanent and it could be easily removed, such as by washing the wok with soap and detergent. This is the reason why it is not recommended you to wash your wok with soap at all. However, there are other ways that you could remove the seasoning from the surface of wok. One way is that when you cook food that is high in acidic content, because acid tends to dissolve oil, so it will remove the seasoning from the surface of the wok. Another way you can also remove the seasoning from the surface of wok is by boiling water in the wok. Even if you use your wok only for stir fry and you never wash your wok with detergents, the seasoning will eventually wear off. In many ways, this greatly limits the functionality of the wok because the wok could be used for many other functions than simply stir frying. For example, you can use the wok for steaming, you can use the wok for boiling water to make noodles, and all of this will be precluded from using the wok for. And anytime you use the wok for these purposes, you will end up remove the seasoning. However, to reseason your wok, use the conventional seasoning method. It's just simply impractical. It takes way too much time. Ideally, it's a method that is simple to perform, that you can season the wok just before you start to cook. This is where the spot seasoning method comes in. I discovered the spot seasoning method, or maybe I should say I rediscovered the spot seasoning method due to the necessity that I want to have my wok to be seasoned each time before I cook. I want to have a guarantee that the wok has a non-stick surface. I started with the hypothesis that you can season the wok by allow the oil to smoke in the wok for only a short period of time. I quickly discovered that in fact you don't need to have the oil to smoke for any more than 20 or 30 seconds to give the wok with non-stick property. I found out that in general, if you let the oil to smoke for about 15 seconds, very likely you will have sufficient amount of non-stick surface to work with. In many ways, that is the basic idea of my spot seasoning method. Another significant discovery that I make is that you don't need to heat the wok at high heat. As long as you heat the wok enough for the oil to smoke gently, it is sufficient to season the wok. Next, I asked the question, can I use this method work on a brand new wok that has never been seasoned before? Could I still build the seasoning using this spot season method? And it turned out that it works very well. In here, I demonstrate to you, I use a Emuser 14-inch carbon steel wok. I just finished cleaning it and I season it with the spot seasoning method for the first time. And it works very well. As you can see, the egg able to glide freely on the surface of the wok. Since then, I have tested this spot seasoning method on different type of wok surfaces. I find that it works best on cast iron woks. It works next best on carbon steel woks, and it works least well on stainless steel woks. I strongly recommend you to give this method a try. No matter what type of wok surfaces that you have, you might need to make small adjustments depend on the type of wok that you have, but I think it will work for you. If you'd like to receive notifications of my future video postings, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll see you next time.